We're going to read Lewis and Clark and Me, A Dog's Tale. And this is like historical fiction from the point of view of a dog. Okay? As I read, I'm going to look for new words. I'm going to figure out those new words. I'm going to look for underlined words because they're going to be asked in the question section. I will be checking what happened at the beginning, middle, and the end for the best summary. Here we go. Louis and I stopped by the river's edge to survey the flow of the water when the calf wandered up. So this a baby cow. I do not know what he was thinking. Probably nothing. I never considered buffaloes to be smart. It's a baby buffalo. Anyway, this buffalo calf took one look at me and went straight to Louis. So it kind of hid behind Louis. Remember, it's from the point of view of a dog. When Louis walked on, the calf followed, right on his heels. The calf was acting as though Louis were his mother. Now, when Louis and I walked, we sometimes split up. I'd hear an animal or smell something that I needed to check out, and I will head in a different direction. Not this time. Why is he not moving from his side? I stayed with Louis and the calf, but I walked a few yards behind. The calf kept looking back at me. Maybe he was hoping I would disappear so that he could have Louis all to himself, or something ridiculous like that. By looking at this sentence, I can tell that the dog is a little bit jealous. Louis stopped by the river again. The calf stayed by his side. I stared at the calf. Why was he attaching himself to Louis? Did he think he was going to stay with Louis permanently? I'm going to underline these questions. I needed to scare off the calf. That would put an end to this nonsense. Very jealous. I was sure Louis didn't want him around any more than I did. I decided a growl would be enough. After all, this was just a calf. Of course, buffaloes are stubborn. If I needed to, I could throw my paws into the air and play the part of a bear dog. That would work. So he has a plan to scare it off. I took a deep breath and I started a low growl. It was not my most vicious growl, just a low, constant rumble to let the calf know he wasn't welcome. The calf looked over his shoulder at me, then took a step closer to Louis. That didn't make any sense. Louis and I were a team. Moving close to Louis was like moving close to me. Next, Louis did something that surprised me. He reached out his hand and placed it on the calf's head. When they do that, it's like petting it. The same way he put his hand on my head sometimes. That was the last thing I expected. Could it be that Louis wanted the calf to stay with us? What was Louis thinking? Where's your mother? Louis said. At that moment, everything became clear, like the streams in the mountains. I looked at the calf's eyes. He didn't have those piercing black eyes that the adult buffaloes have when they're mad. His eyes were soft, tinted with fear. The calf was afraid of me. How could I have missed that? I'm going to underline this. If you notice, I'm underlining the questions that the dog is thinking. The calf reeked of fear. He was twice my size, but he was frightened nonetheless. I backed away. Louis scratched the calf's ear. I was touched by the gentle way Louis handled him. Louis turned and started back toward the boat. The buffalo calf close at his heels. I followed, keeping my distance so as not to scare the calf. When we arrived at the boat, Louis and I got in. The calf watched us from the shore as we pulled away. They left. Suddenly, it all seemed very funny to me. Imagine a buffalo calf thinking it could be part of our lives. How in the world will he get in and out of the boat? I thought about the ridiculous side. It's times like that when I wish I could laugh. I wagged my tail. Now, when I think back on the whole situation, I guess I was jealous. There you go. I see I see that in young dogs. A new puppy comes along, all playful and cunning, and everyone pats it and plays with it. Then the big dogs jump all over themselves trying to get unnoticed. Well, I didn't jump all over myself, but I suppose that if I had gone much further, I might have. My feelings for Louis have always run strong. That's a funny little story. Okay, questions. Read the sentence from paragraph 12. I followed, keeping my distance, as so as not to scare the calf. So he was being cautious. What can the reader conclude about the dog from this sentence? Okay, I made an inference right there. He's being just cautious. F, he is no longer interested in getting on the boat. No, they're not talking about getting in the boat. G, he is not certain of where Louis wants to explore next. No, he didn't want to scare the calf. He has a new understanding of the calf's feelings. He realized that the calf was afraid, so he didn't want to scare it. That could be the answer. He is no longer frightened. He was never frightened by the calf. He was jealous of it. So, my correct answer is this one right here. He understood that the calf was feeling afraid, so he kept his distance not to frighten it anymore. That's the one that makes sense. Which idea is developed throughout the story? Throughout the story. Okay? Let me see. The dog's shock at Louis's actions. That could be. He's shocked that he's petting the calf. The dog's belief that he's much smarter than the calf. No, he doesn't say that. The dog's concern. He's worried that he and Louis have explored the same area. No. The dog's determination to prevent anything from coming between him and Louis. Okay. I've discovered the two that are totally wrong, and I have the distractor and the correct answer. So I'm going to read those two again to find the best. What can I see throughout the story? The dog's shock at Louis's action. Is he shocked throughout the story? He's always shocked about it. He was shocked at the beginning, but then he was like, oh, look, he's petting it. Oh, that's so nice of him. He was not shocked then, after. So, this is a distractor. The correct answer is the dog's determination to prevent anything from coming between him and Louis, because he says that they are one, right? We are one. He says that. Let me show you where. My feelings for Louis have always run strong. That is one idea. And also, he says he needed to scare the calf. Louis and I were a team, and I did underline it. I'm going to underline it with black. Louis and I were a team. Okay? Moving close to Louis was moving close to me. We are a team. So he didn't want the calf to get between them. So I know that letter D is my correct answer. What do the dog's questions in paragraphs 4, 7, and 10 suggest? So I need to read them again. Paragraphs 4, 7, and 10. 4, 7, and 10. 4. Why was he attaching himself to Louis? Did he think he was going to stay with Louis permanently? The other one. Could it be that Louis wanted the calf to stay with us? What was Louis thinking? And 10. How could I have missed that? The calf was shrieked with fear, like the calf was very afraid. So now that I have read the questions, I can choose my answer. The dog is trying to make sense of the situation. Yes, like what's going on? Why is he doing that? What does he think? The dog is not familiar with the surroundings, not at all. The dog is unsure about his feelings. No, he knows they are a team. The dog is not paying attention to Louis. No, he's actually paying attention. He's paying attention to what he does to the calf. So my correct answer is he's trying to make sense out of situation. He's trying to understand what's going on. That's how I know. Question 29. What is the best summary for paragraphs 1 through 5? It's not about the summary for the article for the story. It's 1 through 5 only. So it's the first page. Let me move this right here. I'm going to move this right here. And I'm going to read 1 through 5 so I won't miss them. I am going to mark them all the way up to here. This part right here. What's going on? So at the beginning, he's just realizing that there is a calf, and that he was moving as Louis was moving, and he's saying that sometimes they split up, but then he always go back to Louis, and it says I stayed with Louis and the calf, but I walked a few yards behind, and the calf kept looking at me. Maybe he was hoping I would disappear. Louis stopped by the river. The calf stayed by his side. What's going on? And 5 is about, I'm going to scare it. I'm going to scare the calf. That will put an end to it. Okay? So, he has a plan. And I wrote down the word plan, if you remember. There you go. So, let's see the best summary. It must have all the components. And remember, it must have beginning, middle, and especially no details. If they give me a lot of information, then it's not a summary. Okay? Louis and the dog enjoy walking together. And on this day, they are traveling near the banks of a river. Okay. They are traveling near the banks of a river is a detail. They're explaining. A buffalo calf ignores the dog and follows Louis. But that sounds like just the beginning, because it doesn't say that the dog has a plan to scare the calf. So I don't think this is the correct answer. Let's go to B. The dog is taking his usual walk with Louis when they meet a buffalo calf. So far, so good. The dog thinks the calf is behaving strangely. Yeah, he does. It doesn't have an ending. So no. C. While Louis and the dog are on a walk, a buffalo calf joins them. Because the calf follows Louis closely, the dog thinks of a plan. Here we go. To scare it away. This one has beginning, middle, end, and no details. This one has everything. Let's read letter D. The dog notices that a buffalo calf is following Louis. That's the beginning. The dog decides that he had better stay close to Louis instead of exploring the area. It doesn't mention a plan, and the paragraph 5 is all about making a plan to get rid of the calf. So my best answer is letter C. Okay, and we can go back and double check, because it says right here, I needed to scare off the calf. That will put an end to this nonsense. I was sure Louis didn't want him around any more than I did. I decided a growl will be enough. Okay? So that it needs to have an ending in there. 30. In paragraph 14, the dog wants to explain. I have no idea. I need to look for paragraph 14. Where's my paragraph 14? Okay, found my paragraph 14. I need to reread it. Now, when I think back of the whole situation, I guess I was jealous. I see that in young dogs, I'm sorry. A new puppy comes along, all playful and cunning, and everyone pets him and plays with it. Then the big dogs jump all over themselves trying to get a notice as well. Well, I didn't jump all over myself, but I suppose that if I had got much further, I might have. My feelings for Louis have always run strong. Okay, what is the dog trying to explain? He's trying to explain why he felt jealous. Okay, now that I have an idea, I will find my answer. He's trying to explain why he reacted to the cough as he did. Yes, with jealousy. G, that he's still as playful as he used to be? No. How he has changed as he gotten older? Not at all. That young dogs are more lovable than cows? Not at all. My answer is why he reacted to the cough the way he did. He was jealous and he's like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand what I was jealous. Why? I know now. And these are our last two questions. In paragraph 9, the author uses a simile. The simile means when you say this is as white as snow, for instance, that's a simile. To help the reader understand that the dog suddenly, okay, I have no idea. This is not a memory test. So I gotta go to paragraph 9. Let me push this aside. Paragraph 9, oh, right here, paragraph 9. Here we go. Now I can see my paragraph 9 and my questions. At the moment, everything became clear, like the streams in the mountains. There you go. How clear was it? How clear was it? Clear like the streams in the mountains. That is your figurative language. That is your simile right there. Okay? So, he's saying that everything became clear. Clear. Okay, here we go. In paragraph 9, the author uses a simile to help the reader understand that the dog suddenly forgives Louis. No. Realizes why the calf is following Louis. Yes. Notices a new place to explore. No. Remembers that he and Louis need to return to the boat. No. If you remember, if we can read a little bit back, it says, "Where is your mother?" Louis said, and then at the very moment, everything became clear. I look at the calf's eyes. He didn't have those piercing black eyes that the adult buffaloes have when they're mad. His eyes were soft, tinted with fear. That's a moment he realized that the calf was very afraid. So that is my correct answer. Because he doesn't have a mom, he feels lost. Right? Alrighty. Which sentence best reveals the dog's view of his relationship with Louis? That means, which one of these four tells you about the dog and the dog's relationship with Louis? He says something about being a team. Okay, so let's see. I stayed with Louis and the calf, but I walk a few yards behind. No. Does it tell you anything about their relationship? Gee, I was sure Louis didn't want him around any more than I did. You may think this is it because he's mentioning something about a relationship, but let's think about it. Let's continue. Louis and I were a team. Here we go. That's a relationship. Moving close to Louis was like moving close to me. That sounds good. Next, Louis is something that surprised me. So which one of these four express the relationship they have? That is exactly the correct answer. Louis and I were a team. That's a relationship. They are buddies.